Welcome into K-State Online. I am Mason Voth. That is Drew Galloway. Drew coming to you from his well put together looking office. It's nice. It's tidy. I'm in the KSO dungeon right now. This is what poor working conditions look like. This is what Derek Young makes one of his top two employees work in. You know, like what are we doing here? I may be wearing Nike shirts, but I'm not working for them. Come on. But we're going to talk about stuff better than that, better than the decor around me, which is a bunch of boxes that still aren't emptied and some a 64 pack of crowns that my wife, I'm sure this is from. Well, these are hand-me-down crowns because it's got her name stamped on them, but on the back, the box actually belongs to my brother-in-law, apparently. So, and now my daughter has been using them. So, this is two generations of crowns in the Winkle family right there. But yeah, not a lot of good around me. This is where the magic's happening for the foreseeable future. While things are in disarray. Speaking of disarray and dysfunctional and not up to 100%, not just my working conditions, that would also be the state of K-State's roster and some of the guys that they anticipate contributing for them. And I'll ask you this, Drew. What is the bigger piece of news on the availability report this week for K-State? Is it that Dylan Edwards is once again questionable? And there's been some fallout around that we'll have to talk about because of on 3 report, other stuff going on, whatever, or that Toby Asansonmi is listed as out, and Joe Klanderman didn't seem to think that it was going to be a one-game type of situation.
I think the bigger story of this week's availability report is actually probably Toby being out for probably multiple weeks. He's your best pass rusher. He's been so on rundowns, but he is the one player that has been a constant getting pressure. And TCU doesn't really allow much pressure to begin with, so you're already kind of at a disadvantage there. And then you're also now going to be without your top pass rusher. And it's just a unit that has had moments where they've been really, really good. That first half in Ireland was fantastic.
I thought the defense was going to be the story of the season based on the first half in Ireland. I was like, if this is what's happening, this team really is going to win the Big 12.
Yeah, the defensive line was fantastic in that first 30 minutes in Ireland. Has had moments where they've been really good, some moments where they've been really bad. Arizona game, they were better than the final stats, I think, because they got pressure on Fafita at times. They knocked down a few balls at the line of scrimmage like that. That's about all you can do in a moment like that. But then the Army game, they weren't very good. They weren't very good last week in Waco. So being without your best pass rusher is kind of a negative. Dylan Edwards, I think, kind of is what it is at this point. I don't think that he's going to be 100% again for most of the year. If you kind of just see what that kind of looks like. And I've been as hard on the running backs, I think, as anybody has. But Joe Jackson was good enough on Saturday in Waco that I don't think that it's a huge downslide. And also, Dylan Edwards has questionable, he could still play. We know that Toby's going to be out. I think that's kind of also why it's a bigger story.
Yeah, and I would say you look at the functionality of the defense and the pass rush right now. Toby is leading the team with 4 sacks. Cody Stufflebean has 3.5. And then it drops off to Travis Bates, who we know the time out there, it can be limited at times just because of what they're asking him to do. And you also wonder how much are other guys feasting because of what Toby is doing? He's that type of pass rusher for K-State where it's he's going to open things up for other guys because of the attention that he could command at times. I think that, and knowing he's not going to play it all this weekend and it's not looking good, out of the bye week, you would love to have him against Kansas, but Joe Klanderman didn't make me get the warm and fuzzies that he was going to be ready for that. Like, that's the bigger story. It might be the bigger problem in the short term because we know what kind of difference maker Dylan Edwards can be for K-State. He looked awesome against UCF, and I would, point out that, like, you can just tell when he gets the ball, it's different than what other K-State running backs can provide. We saw it against Arizona too, and he was only out there for a handful of snaps. But K-State, if they clean up the things that have been preventing them from winning, or like the things that led to their shortcomings against Baylor, Dylan Edwards or no Dylan Edwards, it doesn't matter. I mean, you almost beat Baylor without Dylan for all intents and purposes. Like, you had him for a little bit, you used him some, he did find the end zone, but it wasn't like some masterful run. It was short. Like, you can figure out life without Dylan Edwards to win this game against TCU. Losing one of your best defensive players who's actually producing this year, that's something that's going to be a lot harder for this team to bounce back from.
The passing game and quarterback run game that has been unlocked is good enough to beat most Big 12 teams. And like that's kind of where it is with Dylan Edwards. Kind of looking at the other pieces of the availability report, you're hoping that you can get Adonis Moise back. He's your number 4 right now in wide receiver snaps. It's better that he's listed as questionable right now because I believe on the first availability report last week, he was already out.
So the first one last week, he was listed as questionable, but then each one after that, he was listed as out. So it's gone from questionable out, and now it's back up, which led me to believe that, it's rising in terms of the probability that he can be out there.
And then sneakily again, Bryce Nornberg being out still kind of stings because he is your one threat in the return game that we've seen.
Well, and it's clear that this team wants to take the ball out because they feel like, I think likely due to the shortcomings of the offense right now, that they need to try to capitalize on big plays because even when the ball hasn't gone to Nornberg, we've seen JB Price back there, and he's gotten the chance to take it back. And then this weekend, obviously, it changed a little bit. We saw Montario Elston back there. But, the one thing that Bryce Nornberg had going for him, because of, like, he's got elite speed for not just that position, but, like, he's a very, very, very fast guy in terms of college football. Like, he could at least guarantee most of the time he was at least getting to the 20-yard line. Like, we saw K-State now where, I think the fumble thing might be behind Nornberg. I think that he's been scared straight in that situation. But, like, now K-State's backing themselves up with the guys that are bringing the ball out there, and they should have been directed not to take it out.
He has the best speed and the best vision of any returner that we've seen so far this season. He is very close to having 3 kick return touchdowns already this season. So to have him out stings. I mean, we talked about it after the Army game, and it kind of got glossed over because they lost and whatever.
Bryce got blamed for them losing the game because he took the kickback.
Yes, but Bryce Nornberg was close to having 2 kick return touchdowns just in the Army game alone. So that's a sneaky one that is kind of a killer. But other than that, like, it's all guys that have already all been on there before. So nothing like super crazy. Also, looking at TCU, like, nothing super crazy for them either.
Yeah, you weren't getting a rogue receiver or Josh Hoover to pop up.
No, you weren't getting the
or Chidi Obiizer's cousin.
You weren't getting the Bryce Nornberg being out or listed as questionable at this point last week. That you're not getting that from TCU this week.
Yeah, so we'll see what it looks like when the next one comes out tonight, and then obviously to pay attention to things moving forward. Now, the unfortunate part of all this, aside from just the fact that his status for this game is up in the air, this is going to be, and this is kind of what you were alluding to when we first started, people are going to have to get used to Dylan Edwards' name being on here because it is apparent that as this season is worn on now, he is, I don't know if it's injury prone, but he is at least prone to dings, like there's a running joke between us that DY's immune system's a little weaker than ours. It seems like whenever he's on the road, like it's a little bit in rougher shape than us. That's Dylan Edwards for this team, where Like Avery Johnson hasn't had to pop up on an availability report. Joe Jackson hasn't had to pop up on one. We've been asking about how is Dylan Edwards going to be available in every game this year for the most part. And so it's just something like he's going to have to learn to manage it. K-State's going to have to learn how to manage it and deal with it and put forth their effort with or without him. So fans are going to have to get comfortable with seeing it there. It's the stuff beyond that where the speculation then runs rampant because he's only played in 4 games, so he could still redshirt and everything else. And whether it's right or wrong, because I see some people that they want to be the like the neighborhood watch on this topic, where they want to be out there like the lead singer from Chicago that sings the Knight in Shining Armor, want to fight for your honor song or whatever. That's what they're trying to do for Dylan Edwards. Like, oh, why are people always coming up with these stories about him? Why is it never anybody else? Well, let me tell you why. Because he is always hurt. He hasn't played in the 5th game yet. Like Jace Brown, what's he got to do the rest of the year other than go ball out, and he either stays and gets a ton of money from K-State next year, or he balls out and gets a ton of money from somebody else next year.
Or he goes pro.
Yeah. Either way, Jace Brown's getting a ton of money next year if he goes out and plays great football the final 6 games of the season. You know why? Because he's already played in more games than it takes to redshirt. So there's no use in saving that. Same thing for Avery Johnson. Same thing for a lot of these guys. But because he missed time with the injury, until he plays in that 5th game, you're going to have that hanging on to it. And whether right or wrong, to still hold it against somebody, and I don't know that people hold it against them, but it's the only thing they have to go off of. The high school recruiting process thing for Dylan Edwards, again, we've talked about it. We understand how it all played out. Obviously, things were cool between him and K-State for them to get back together, and it's worked out well for the most part for the first, 2 years of the process or whatever it may be. But because of that and how it was so transient, people are going to look at this and go, okay, this would be a player that would profile as this. Because people don't know Dylan Edwards personally. They don't know the full situation there. So there's a lot of speculation, and this is how college football works. It's not a personal or direct shot at Dylan Edwards. It's just how people feel. So look, that doesn't mean that you need to believe it or buy into it. I would kind of laugh at it at this point in time. I don't think that that's something that's going to happen because, as we've talked about, a lot of these guys that K-State has that have the talent to maybe need to sit out to preserve a red shirt, those are guys that think and probably know that they have enough talent somewhere that they don't want to have to play 5 years of college football. They want to play 3 or 4 years of college football. So, like, the red shirt isn't the most important thing in the world to some of these guys, but it's going to be out there. It's going to surround this thing because of the whole Dylan Edwards story, whether right or wrong, whether it's accurate in the moment. So people have to deal with it and just get used to it and not freak out one way or the other. So you don't need to be on your crusade to defend the Edwards family legacy. And you also don't need to be coming the other way with your pitchforks and saying good riddance. Like, some people were saying, I'm going to call him out, like my uncle was saying about Jace Brown during the Iowa State game last year, sending texts in a group chat to my family being like, why is he even out there right now? I'm like, because he hasn't said that he's actually leaving, and good Lord, he's the only guy that went out there and looked like he played well against Iowa State last year. Like, we just don't know in these situations. So this is the perfect time to remember, don't get too high, don't get too low on the college athlete experience right now, because every one of them are a wild card in this era of college sports.
Oh yeah, you're exactly right. And I'll even add to this, like, Dylan Edwards is as competitive as they come. He had all the offers in the world and still wanted to do every single camp that he was invited to. If he wanted to shut it down, I don't think that he would have played against UCF.
Yeah, that's a great point too. Like,
and I think that it was pretty clear if you were watching the game close enough that he was not totally right against Baylor. I think it happened. I believe it was like his second run. Like,
it happened, on the first drive, and I was stunned that our boy Pete Souza, they weren't saying, they said nothing about it going over. It's like, I think he's sitting on the ground a little bit longer, and I think he got up and walked off pretty slow, and there was no mention of him being dinged.
I was shocked that it wasn't our other guy, Kevin Marr, taking him off, that he didn't take him off the field
well, Kevin Marr doesn't care about anybody in this league
because he did not look right after, I think it was his second carry of the day. So that was when I could tell,
and he still went back out there and scored a touchdown.
Yes, and still went out there and still played. Like, I'm not super worried. Will he play on Saturday? I don't know. Am I worried about him just being done? Not really.
Also, here's the other deal. If he is just done, or if he is just going to transfer at the end of the year, I got news for you. You've watched a bad football team the first 6 games of the season. We've said it multiple times. You know what happens to bad football teams in college football? A large chunk of players on their roster, especially the good ones, enter the portal and leave after the season. So even if Dylan Edwards was completely healthy, he busted his butt for 12 games for this team, and none of this injury stuff or availability report stuff was going on, based on the way K-State's playing and the season's going to unfold, still just as good of a chance as everybody else on this roster that you should just prepare for life without these guys. I would tell you right now, the best place to approach this from as a K-State fan would be just to assume that this whole roster is going to blow up at the end of the season, because very rarely, for 2 reasons, do teams that fall on their face look the same roster-wise the following season. One, because those players don't want to come back to the same situation that they just fell flat and lost a bunch of games in. That's not fun. So then you go, okay, we can reset, go somewhere else. Or why would the coaches, as they're trying to save their jobs and get things back on the track at programs that fall flat on their face, want the exact same group of guys that just came up short for them? So, like, it's just best to assume that the roster is going to change a lot next season for K-State. It doesn't mean that you need to just, act, I guess, like distasteful or like, okay, whatever, see you later to these guys. But just mentally prepare yourself for it. Treat it like that's going to happen. And if you get a guy like Dylan Edwards to say, I love K-State and he's back next year to go through the transition, obviously you take a guy like that because he's crazy talented. And that's a great thing. It'll be a good surprise for you.
Everybody is a threat to transfer every offseason. Like that.
It's like, here's a great, this is a great life lesson for people. It's October, early October. A lot of you parents out there, you probably got kids getting ready to go do basketball tryouts. Tell your kid just to have the mindset now for the next week. They're not making the team. They're going to get cut. Okay. So then when they get that little letter on Friday and they open it up and it says, welcome aboard, you're a member of the team. It's a happy holy crap moment, not a sad holy crap moment for them. It's best to prepare for the worst and get the best, as opposed to prepare for the best and get the worst, So that's life lessons right here.
This offseason is the same as every offseason where everybody is a threat to transfer. And that's just the world that we're living in. It's unlimited free agency. So if you're not prepared for somebody to transfer out, you haven't been paying attention, because every team loses somebody that they wanted to keep.
Yeah, I mean, even the good teams lose guys that they want to keep. Look at college basketball. There are teams that go on deep runs into March, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you were going to be like our best player next year, and you want to go somewhere else. Like, we just played in the Elite Eight. Why would you leave?
Yeah,
but it's what happens.
Darion Williams was Texas Tech's best player, most expensive player last year, and still left.
Yeah,
that's just kind of how it goes.
I mean, people would sit around and go, why would PJ Haggerty leave Memphis? He was their best player. They made the NCAA tournament. He's leaving to go play at K-State now, where they didn't make the tournament in the last 2 years. And the guys that have been their best players have, like, their stock has gone down. Like, it makes no logical sense for PJ Haggerty to come play at K-State, other than money, because we know that's how college sports works. But, like, it's just how you prepare yourself in this thing now. Like, get used to it. Like, Boogie Flan was the number 7 portal player in the country this year out of Arkansas. He's going to Florida now. Like, yeah, Florida just won the national championship, but, like, he wasn't coming from some scrub program like Arkansas or Rob Wright. You think Baylor halfway through the season was like, oh my gosh, we've got this awesome freshman. He's been a revelation. he's going to want to go to BYU, you know, like, no, it's just, you have to always be ready for this because guys are going to move whether things are going well or poorly.
Yes, you are exactly right.
You think West Virginia sat around and went, "Oh, Tucker DeVries, he's gone." Oh wait, actually, yeah, they did. He followed his dad, just like Bennett Sturts did. Yeah, so there. I just, we have to get to a stage, and it's going to take a while because it's still fresh in some ways, that we all have to adjust at some point to the new era of college athletics. And the transfer portal and guys leaving is one of them. Like, it's going to be okay. It's going to get figured out.
There will still be guys that stay. There will be guys that leave. That's how it goes.
Yep. So, all right, there you go. I was going to try and find you like well, I mean, the best example would be, now we know, again, his dad might be the biggest idiot in college sports. But Nico Iamaleava, like, Tennessee had a pretty strong season last year. You're thinking they've been pretty good under Josh Heupel. Now he's playing at UCLA and they suck despite the win, you know?
And like, he was thinking about going in the portal before they play in their playoff game.
Yeah. So, like, it's just, get used to it. This stuff happens. Everybody deals with it.
It also doesn't mean that it doesn't suck, because it does suck.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to accept it in terms of like, oh, cool. All right. This doesn't hurt me at all. No, it should. It should get some kind of emotional reaction out of you. But don't, I guess the short end of this would be, don't let that happen until it's actually happened.
Yes.
You know?
And
like,
you don't have to be over the top about it, because every team's going to have something similar.
Yeah. This is not meant as disrespectful. This is just the truth of how situations are handled. If you want to operate your emotions like you're a member of the Voth household, you want to be like me as opposed to my wife. My wife would handle the transfer portal. If she cared about this stuff, she'd be freaking out. You would have a panicked KSO show every single day. It might be more entertaining that way if there was just rampant speculation and preparing for a bunch of things, you know, but instead I'm just going to sit here and go, yeah, cool, whatever. We'll just see what happens when it actually opens up. It'll be fine, you know. Like, don't worry about problems until they're actually a problem. Now you can try to plan ahead of time and avoid problems from happening. Like, that's fine, but there's a difference between taking precautionary measures versus like reacting to things that haven't even happened yet. And I think there are a lot of people that are trying to react to something that hasn't happened yet. So don't do it. Get used to it. It's going to be uncomfortable. I mean, should we be worried? Cub Patton, he hasn't played all season, Drew. Take his red shirt and leave. I mean, he's from Lubbock. I hear they've got decent money down there.
It will be fine, and they'll still play football next season.
McGuire Richmond, is he taking his ball going home? Like, is he done? He hasn't played.
It's going to be an off season that's going to be interesting, but there's no use of speculating right now.
Yeah. All right, there you go, everybody. Suck it up. Get tough. You're a K-State fan. You should already be hardened to bad news, but I guess you're just preparing for a whole lot more of it, and you can't take much more. Understand it. The team's 2-4. Not fun to talk about. We will talk about guys that aren't even on the team tomorrow. We'll do a recruiting update ahead of what Drew says is I don't know that it's a sneaky big recruiting weekend. It's just a big recruiting weekend given the circumstances.
I would say that it's sneaky big because some people have asked why recruiting even matters anymore. So I'd say that it's sneaky big because some people probably don't care or haven't paid attention.
Recruiting in general, just sneaky right now for K-State. How about that?
There you go.
All right. Well, what's the temperature there for you today?
70 degrees and rainy.
I was going to say, it feels like it's sweatshirt appropriate where you are, not here.
Yes, it is. It is right now 74 and rainy.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy for you. Rocking the KSO sweatshirt. I was outside doing yard work earlier, and it was not as cold. It's not like it's hot here though, so it's not. It could be worse. But anyways, all right. Thanks to everybody for joining us today. Back again, another show to close out the week tomorrow with the recruiting update with Drew. And then we are live after the game on Saturday evening after K-State and TCU finish. Me, Drew, fan, talking about cats and frogs.